Let's go ahead and welcome Claudia Foster. Claudia, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm awesome. Thank you. Love the background, the cute
Thank you.
lights. Well, let's dive right in. So, how about before we dive into your story of what's happened over the past 6 months, let's talk about where were you before you met me? What were some of the struggles that you were facing, and what was your life like back then?
Yeah, well, a long time ago, I was a full-time teacher in a brick and mortar school, and I taught kindergarten and first grade for a long time. And I love the kids, but the rest of it was very draining, and it was just getting to be too much. And even I worked in New York, so my salary was okay, but it just was still so, I don't know, draining,
That's the
depressing.
word. Yep.
Yeah. Like I
Mhm.
just was so exhausted and just emotionally
Mm,
spent. And
yeah.
I still have 3 kids of my own. And it was just, I'd come home and I was just so tired and still had schoolwork to do and blah, blah, blah. So
Mm.
anyway, plus I did not like those cold New York winters. So we finally, I talked my family into moving to Florida,
Ah,
where 8 years ago I decided I don't want to do public school anymore. Like I don't
yeah.
want to work in especially where in a state where pay is a lot less
Yep.
and overall support is, believe it or not, less.
Right,
So
right.
so here I started teaching online for different ESL companies, which are
Yeah.
basically, students in China and
Yeah.
other countries like Taiwan and
Uh-huh.
Korea, which I love. It's awesome, but it's super early morning hours.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of like when I discovered you, I love working with little kids, and it just seemed like this would be so great, to be, and
Yeah.
especially to do it online because I've been teaching online for such a long time. I'm very comfortable
Right.
with it.
Yeah.
But there's always the middleman, and I want to be the one, like I'm always like,
Yeah.
I'm working for other companies and they get a lot of my cut,
Right.
which is, I understand that business model, but
Yeah.
it'd be nice if I got the actual full pay for
For
these
sure.
students. Yeah.
Yeah.
So ideally, I wanted to do online preschool
Yeah.
or online kindergarten because that's where my comfort level is.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know. I'm kind of still like lingering. I'm open to different possibilities, um, and still trying to figure out exactly what I want to do. But
Yeah.
I've found that definitely your program will guide me when I commit myself to it more.
And see, that's the truth, is that
Yeah.
sometimes when our women come into our programs, and this is why I actually wanted to bring you on, was because everyone's journey is going to look different. And so some in 6 months will have students signed up.
Yeah.
Some will have just started open their
Mhm.
doors. Some will still be figuring out what is working for them and what
Right.
works for their family. So
Yeah.
walk us through some of the decision-making process as you are deciding, like, do you want to land in preschool or a kinder or something else? Like, what are some of the thoughts that are going through your head?
Well, my problem personally is my brain is very scattered and I'm never 100% sure exactly what I want.
Ah,
I mean, I would love to do preschool and kindergarten online, but I also love being with them in person. But then I'm
mm,
worried, will I have the funds to find a local place? Because where we live in Florida, it's very expensive.
yeah.
um, so I think like deep down, there's a part of me that's like, I'd really rather do in person.
Mm,
Maybe because I've been teaching online for 8 years now.
sure, sure. Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know.
yeah. You're like, hey, maybe
Yeah.
something different, right?
But I do feel like I can still make that doing online. You can still totally have that connection with the kids. I
Oh, for
mean,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of scattered. I just, it's my own issue. It's nothing to do with the program. The program is
Oh, yeah.
wonderful,
No, it's fine. I actually wanna
Yeah.
talk to you for a bit just about, like, because it's really interesting, like, when we've been doing something for so long, sometimes we look for the different thing because
Mhm.
it's like, "Ooh, shiny penny, maybe that," maybe there are some things about, online teaching that I'm like, "Oh, but maybe I'd really enjoy local." And so it's natural to be drawn to something new.
Yeah.
So let's actually just peruse local for 1 second here. You were talking about getting a building.
Right.
And so have you contemplated doing it in your home, and why did you rule it out of your home?
Okay. So my home is it's a rental.
Yeah.
And no, that's fine. It's also very full, so it'd be hard to find a room where I could make the
Sure.
space.
Sure.
And I have a crazy dog, and she's not well behaved, and she is unpredictable.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Got
A
it.
little bit
Okay.
scary, even though she's small.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just have all these little things working against me as far as in the home.
Yeah, I get it. And so
Yeah,
that's really good to bring up too because, um, so it's interesting because like, sometimes we can, like, take one and then we're like, roadblock, blow it up, right? But then when we start stacking, we're like, but maybe it's not right." So, like,
exactly.
dog, okay, perfect. Could we put her into a
Yeah,
different room?
exactly.
Maybe.
Like
But then
Maggie.
you go to the
Mhm.
next level and you're like, it's kinda full. And you're like,
Yeah.
can't really find the location. Okay, well, and then so we just kinda keep going up here and a couple additional things. So we're
Mhm.
like, "Okay, maybe just in the home is just not the best place. So
Yeah.
now let's go to the next place." Have you considered doing it in a church? Or is that like,
I
definitely not gonna do that?
No, I mean, I would be open to that. I haven't really thought about the church possibility,
Okay.
you know?
Yeah,
I'm not, and I know this doesn't really have much to do with it. I personally am not a very religious person.
totally.
But I have nothing against, I think
Yeah,
churches are great places. It's a great
yeah,
place to form community and where people find what they need, you know?
right.
So
Yep.
yeah. So
Yeah. And so
I would be open to that. Yeah.
that's actually an interesting thought process um because we know that preschools in a church can either be you can either teach religion in the
Right.
preschool, or you can just be like worldly, secular, whatever, right? Like just
Yeah.
not religion. So the church building doesn't necessarily mean that, but it's an interesting
Right.
process to be like, but there's still that dynamic of it being in a church. So okay, so I'm really liking your thought process here of like kind of why some are ruling in, why some are ruling
Yeah.
out. So
Yeah.
then you naturally went, I think, to your next step, which was get a building. And you said it
Right.
was kind of expensive in Florida, et
Yeah.
cetera. Yeah. And the tricky thing about getting a building is really, to get a lower lease, I mean, you're really going to have to do longer term. And
Right.
then you're locking yourself in and you're like,
Yeah.
shoot, I don't have any students right now, right?
Right.
Okay. So now that we've kind of exhausted those explorations, let's go back to online for a second.
Mhm.
And with online, so are you still teaching ESL?
I am. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So are your hours, like if you think about your hours in the day, are you doing like the night evening hours and then your sleep is kind of messed up?
Mhm. I
Okay.
basically do personally, I do mostly early mornings. So I'll
Right.
do between 5:30, and soon it's gonna be with a time change, even 5, like 5
Right.
to 8 or 9.
Yeah.
And then I try not to do evenings because like
Got it.
I need my mental health, you know?
Yeah. So this is 5
Yeah.
AM.
So yeah,
Got it.
5
Okay.
AM. Yeah. So
You're
I
waking up
do
pretty
early
early.
mornings. Mhm.
Yeah.
And
And
then I'm
then,
so tired throughout the day. I just would love to be able to change all that at some point, you
yeah.
know, and just have like kind of normal working hours,
And I
but
think that's,
still,
yeah,
yeah,
that's like that's the catch 22 because you're working the hours you don't want to work, but it's making you so tired during the day. It's
right.
hard then to put in time into something
That's
growing
exactly
something
right.
else,
Yeah.
right? Are we feeling that?
100%.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome. Here's a question. I know you've been super busy recently. Have you heard much about Preschool Club?
I have not. I started to watch some of it today, and I've read through a lot of the comments
Yeah.
in Messenger and stuff like that. I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, this thing sounds so great. So I really want to catch up on that webinar,
Yeah.
and I'm about halfway through. So but
Nice.
yeah, it's exciting. I definitely would love to. I'm gonna finish that webinar, and I'm gonna go back into the hub
Yeah.
and get
Yeah.
myself back on track.
Well, here's actually,
um,
I'm going to give you a what would we call it? When you go faster, it's a fast path. It's a shortcut. It's a shortcut. I'm going to give you a shortcut. So I would actually wait. I would wait till November 13th because
okay.
we are going to release to the hub members and Preschool All Stars um, the new funnel template for Preschool Club, where we're going to do something called Money Making Machine Challenge, where you put out one social media post. You know how I like my scripts, right?
Mhm.
You put out a new script we're going to make for you. And then that's going to put people through this funnel to sign them up for the $14.99 a month
Right.
Preschool Club.
Yeah.
And what I'm excited about this for you especially is um, where the other ones are going to require you to like teach live, right? But
Mhm.
this would not. This is like all you got to do is get traffic in.
Yeah.
And one thing, you know what I mean? How like there's a lot of things to do with preschool,
Mhm.
but if we could kind of start offsetting your income where all of a sudden, if we can replace your ESL income with preschool club
Ugh,
income, and you're literally just focusing on that one thing, right? Then
yeah,
what can happen
I
is you
know.
can be done with the ESL. Now you got preschool club, and
Mhm.
then you can take these kids and start adding live classes
I
or
would love
adding,
that.
yeah, right?
Yes,
So that's kind of
yes.
cool.
I know, totally.
So I think for you especially, or anyone who's kind of time strapped, I'm just losing my words here. It must be a long week.
Yeah,
Anyways, I feel like because everybody's got, or a lot of women have that same issue of like,
of
I want
course.
the change, but
Yeah,
that. So
yeah.
wait for November 13th, and then we're going
Okay,
to tag you in, and that
okay.
would be a really fun thing for you to do.
Yeah.
And way less intensive than any other challenge. It'll literally probably take you maybe an hour to set
Mhm.
it up,
Cool.
hands off. So
Awesome. I'm excited. I'm very excited about all the possibilities, and I can't believe, like, everything that just keeps getting added, and it just seems really wonderful, and thank you for all that.
of course, of course.
Yeah.
Well, you've been here with Preschool All Stars for, 6 months. So if someone is on the fence about joining Preschool All Stars, what would you say to her?
I would say definitely join. You will have a huge supportive community of a bunch of people that are there for you if you have any questions at any time. There's always you can reach anyone, all the other all stars through Facebook or Messenger, even, but even
Yeah.
just in the groups. And all everything you need is in the awesome guides that Joy
Mhm.
created. So you go step by step through, and it like pretty much any question you might have about any part of the process will be answered, in those guides, which is really
Yeah.
awesome. Like it's a real secure, like it makes you feel so secure,
Yeah.
like not nervous. I don't know. It's a good thing.
Awesome.
So I would say join.
Well, amazing. And
Yeah.
if you are thinking about joining Preschool All Stars, as you know, we close the doors tonight at midnight. So go to preschoolallstars.com to jump in tonight. Claudia, thank you so much for being here, friend.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, we'll see ya.